You alright?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I need this conversation tonight. Needed.
Oh, honestly, I'm so excited just to be able to bring some more awareness onto this topic as well. I know we've experienced it, haven't we? So, oh, just mute the line. Perfect. Hi, Olivia. Thank you for being here with us. Just give it a couple of minutes for everyone to jump on. Hey to everyone catching us on the YouTube. Oh no, I'm really, really excited. I mean, such a hot topic.
It is.
How are you feeling today?
Yeah, I feel a bit heavy, but I suppose we'll get into that when we go through, because a lot of it is to do with, the more that I've worked through it this afternoon, is the fact that I am experiencing imposter syndrome. And a lot of the experiences that I have had, now when I know what imposter syndrome is and I see it for what it is, you realise how much it affects you. And not just once, it's been many times throughout my life. So I do feel like this is a really good topic for us to discuss, and hopefully we'll get some other people's perceptions as well on what they have experienced and what they think it is. So I'm excited.
I mean, I'm so excited. I know I experience it all the time. And I think like just even being aware of imposter syndrome and how it is so common within society, obviously we will get into it in a lot more depth. But yeah, I'm just really excited. Obviously, we are back. Wake Up Wednesdays is back, bigger and better than ever, open to men and women now. And we are really wanting to expand these conversations far and wide, and just to share a difference on perspective on really important topics within society today. And today's Wake Up Wednesdays topic of conversation is imposter syndrome and how we've experienced it, what it means to us, and really just how we need to sort of support each other even more on this journey. Because like, if regardless if it's self-love, if it's doubt, if it's anything, like I feel like the more that we can share our inner wars that are going on outside, and then just be able to understand that really the way that we see things internally and the way that we internalize life is sometimes a little bit dramatic. And I feel like that's definitely imposter syndrome. Also, how these things can actually help us become better people as well. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Charley Grech. I am 28 years young next Saturday. It is my Saturn return and my Earth Day birthday, that is, and I'm really excited. So we've just gone into Leo season, and I'm a Leo, so I'm feeling really energetic today. And I won't just be the only co-host on this call. I've got my beautiful soul sister Natalie, and we have a special guest, Eleanor, who is with us, the Queen of Dragons, Mrs. herself is here. We're really going to be touching on this and really just sharing how this has made such an impact on our lives. And I'm going to pass it over to my soul sister Natalie.
Thanks. Yes, we are back, and we are so glad to be back. I know that me and Charley have enjoyed the break. It was very necessary for us as well, but we wanted to come back bigger and better than ever. So this topic has been something we've been thinking about for the last week. It's something that both of us have learned about before. We have been touching on it, I suppose, for the last sort of 6 months, I'd say. But this week we really dove sort of head in to make sure we knew what imposter syndrome was exactly. And I mean, it's blown my mind. It's absolutely blown my mind. So yeah, I'm grateful to be back. Thank you for joining us. I cannot wait to hear your perspective, Charley, and Eleanor. Thank you for being here, Queen. I'm super excited to hear your views on it as well. So yeah, thank you for joining us. Obviously, we are back. I'm excited.
Oh my God, I know. Well, I'd just like to share a little bit about my background. Now, my story starts off very, very different to the one that you would probably assume after seeing me today. I am a life coach, I'm a DJ, I'm also a children's entertainer, so I get to play princess for kids' parties, and I absolutely love it. But my journey started off quite traumatic, to be honest with you. I experienced a lot from a toxic environment growing up with my family and growing up in a very unstable household. My mum was a single mum, had me very, very young, really struggled with mental health and self-confidence, self-love, which only naturally passed on to me. And it really affected me as an adult, and especially in my early adulthood years. So I know I'm very young still, but I have lived a very interesting and adventurous life, I'd like to say now. But for me, I would say imposter syndrome, wow, like, I know they say like 70% of people in the world experience this, but that's to say like 2 in 3 people experience doubt. I would say that everyone, to be completely honest with you, especially living in such a fast-paced society where we're expected to be able to achieve so much. And then also it's very frowned upon when you do well, because then other people feel like you make them look bad. And then we have the fear of comparison, especially in the women's society. I think that's something that we've touched on in previous episodes. Can I just say, we are on the 26th episode of Wake Up Wednesday. Can we get a massive clap for all of the soul sisters that have joined us along this journey? And I want everyone to know that even though we might be doing this, Wake Up Wednesdays started from a conversation that me and Natalie had, and we used to just really support each other and keep each other accountable. When we was having doubts, when we was having fears, I would literally hear her fears and I would be like, are you serious? Like, straighten that crown, like, remember who you are, remember what you've done, remember how far you've come, like, think about where you are now and where you was a year ago, rather than where you want to be in a year's time. Like, give yourself some credit. And
Amen.
We literally was like, we need to have these conversations with everyone, or we need to get people involved in these conversations so we can know that we're not going mad and that we're not the only ones experiencing this. So I think, like, for us to come back and rebrand Wake Up Wednesdays for everyone and to speak on this topic, like, Wake Up Wednesdays wouldn't be here if we didn't have these conversations. And imposter syndrome would have stopped us from bringing this to you if we didn't get out of our own ways and be each other's accountability partners and friends, ultimately. Like, for me, the best thing that's helped dealing with imposter syndrome is having the right people around me to help remind me of myself when I'm feeling doubtful, when I'm feeling scared that I might not be able to achieve something that I've been wanting for a while. Or, you know, when that moment when you get everything that you want and then you're like, oh my God, like, this is everything I've ever dreamed of, but like, do I deserve it? And then you sort of feel like you're going to crumble and you're scared to leave your house. Like, that is normal. Like, that is okay. We have all experienced that. I'm a DJ, and even now, after 2020 and all of the clubs closing, I've got a set this Saturday for 4 hours in Loughton at the Standard. All the Essex girls, I want to see you down there. Come and join us. But for me, I was like, wow, like, getting back on the decks, I haven't done this in a while. I felt a little bit shaken by that. And then I remembered that it's normal. Like, so many of us experience this. And no one knows that you're experiencing it. Only you do. Like, you feel this anxiety inside, but everyone on the outside is just amazed that you're even showing up half the time. Like, I think for me, it's understanding that everyone is really so busy thinking about themselves, and if they're not, they should be, because, like, as I say, you get paid to mind my business. You get paid for that. No, if you don't, then you should go and focus on something else that you can get paid for, because you're wasting both of our times. And I know I have to make a joke out of it, but it is so funny how irrational our thoughts can be and the fears that we create around things that we want. And I would say, for me, that would be a very poignant example or experience that I've had with imposter syndrome throughout my journey. And there's definitely a lot coming up, especially with my coaching. Some days when I might have a day where I'm feeling tired and I'm like, how am I telling people how to motivate themselves when I'm tired? And I'm like, all right, Susan, shut up. Charlie's back now. I'm gonna name them. That is what I'm doing. After the research this week, I'm gonna name them and I'm calling them out. I'm calling you out, like, right. Gotta keep bringing myself back. But now I'm so sure you have got so much to say, and I'm so excited for it.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you mentioned that one of the biggest things that helped you is your environment, because I feel like that is something that even at the time I didn't know. Me changing my environment, me changing my support network, me opening up myself to receiving advice or other people's perspectives from the people whose opinions actually mattered and was coming from a place of love and compassion and empathy and wasn't from a place of their personal ego. Because even like you said, Charley, sometimes you can make other people feel uncomfortable when you stand in your own truth. And that's something that I've also learned, which was quite a hard lesson. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Natalie. I am 28 years young. Am I? No, I'm not. I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 in a month. Why did I just say that? Wishful thinking. But anyway, we're going to move swiftly on from that. I am living in Essex, very, very close to my soul sister, Charley. And imposter syndrome has been something that has massively affected my life. So for those of you who haven't heard some of my backstory before, I'll just touch on it. I lived with my nan and granddad since I was about 6 months old. My mum had me very young. She had her own issues that she was dealing with, and so my nan and granddad took custody of me. So I lived a very happy life, and I'm incredibly grateful. Although, sorry, I cut off. Am I back?
You're back.
I'm back. Someone was ringing me. Sorry, right, let me put that on Do Not Disturb. So I lived with my nan and granddad, and I had a very happy life, very grateful, very, very grateful for the upbringing that I had. But it wasn't always happy. My nan had alcohol problems herself. She was an alcoholic. I also suffered some trauma as a child. So I feel like I already had that deep-rooted anxiety that I wasn't good enough, or anything that I did would never match up to the standards of someone else. I always felt belittled by my nan, not always, majority of the time belittled, especially in arguments when she was drunk. And I never felt like I was good enough. So that was something that I grew up with that mentality. And I also took on a lot of her habits. That was also something that I was carrying with me that didn't actually belong to me either. Growing up as a young adult and a teenager, being in the society that we live in, especially as women, exactly what you said, Charley, with the whole comparison, that was right for me. That was life for me. It actually was. It was something that I was doing on a daily basis, and I never felt like I was going to be enough because I didn't look like this person, or I didn't have this figure, or, you know, I wasn't as shapely as that person, or I didn't have the muscles that that person did. There was always something, no matter, even when I went through my life, I developed eating disorders, I have body dysmorphia, severe anxiety at times. Even when I was at my lowest weight at 8 stone, I was still looking in the mirror and I was still finding things that were wrong with me. And that was when I think I really came to the realization that it wasn't there was nothing that I would strive to get. That love came from within. It was never something that I was going to achieve. It was never something that was going to be given to me. It was something that I had to find. And that was, even when I look back now, I never realised that I was suffering with imposter syndrome. I never realised that that was what I was going through in life. And that wasn't the only time. I feel like even now I am a carer. I look after my granddad full time, amongst some other things, but that is my main. And he is 98 years old. And even to this point, when people would say, you do such a good job, you look after your granddad, and I'd go, I don't really do nothing. He's really independent. Like, it's nothing. And they'd be like, no, like, you actually do a lot. And I'd be like, no, I don't feel like I do. And I'd really bat it off, and I would never, ever give myself credit. And I would genuinely be fearful that people would be like, oh my God, if they knew that I get to sit upstairs for an hour and watch telly while my granddad's downstairs, like, I'm not going to be classed as a carer. Do you get what I mean? It was all of those little things that now I realise it was imposter syndrome. I was scared that I didn't have the right qualifications to be a carer. I didn't have anything, or I wouldn't be seen in the eyes of a carer up to someone else's standards. So it's so crazy that there are so many elements, and it can happen in so many different areas of your life, that it's so important that we do become aware of it. And it is so important that, Charley, like you highlighted, it's very normal. It's very, very normal. And I don't think obviously just us two are the only people that have suffered with this.
No, definitely not. And I would feel as well, understanding that it doesn't have to be a terrible, like, imposter syndrome. Like, it makes it sound like a disease. Goodness sake. And I think that sometimes we can focus on the label so much rather than just understanding that it's normal. Like, yes, we are spiritual beings living a human experience, but we are still human beings, and we have a nervous system and we have a brain. And sometimes we can absorb behaviors, we can absorb habits, we can absorb things from people who are around us, who might have these subconscious beliefs that they are not given, that they're not good enough, that they've given to us. And I think for me, that was something that I definitely had. And I'm so glad that you touched on that, Nat, because I feel like within the collective consciousness of every human being on the planet, there are points in everyone's life where they feel like they are not good enough. Now, this can be in your family, this can be at work, this can be in a relationship, it can be in anything, and it can develop at any time. So understanding that, yes, you might not have experienced imposter syndrome or self-doubt, but it doesn't mean that you're any less than a person if you do in your later life, or if you experience it, get over it, and then something happens again. Like, it's so normal. And I think that it's so much better for us to really have these open conversations, because then when we see someone going through it, we can help them through it. And then we can also give ourselves a little bit more credit when we are feeling fearful and doubtful of things that we want to achieve that we might not have done yet. Now, I want to pass it over to my soul sister, Elle, because I'm so grateful that you're with us to even share your perspective. I mean, your outlook on life, this girl is my G, and I'm just like, share. I'm just going to pass it over. So just if you wanted to introduce yourself to the community, just say hi.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. So my name is Eleanor. I am a tattoo apprentice in training, but I definitely am quite vocal online about things concerning mental health or psychology or how the mind works, and definitely am starting to definitely, even with the help of Charley, seeing some patterns that maybe I didn't realize in myself about where I was holding myself hostage. And what I would say is, you can't see your own blindness. Like, you need friends that call you out with love. And if your friends aren't like that, let go. Universe has got you. Like, but you set the standard. It's whatever like you call for. But that's the hardest thing, because sometimes your mind is tricking you to keep going back to a certain understanding of self that probably isn't your own. It's one that you've been told over and over and over again. And I normally find that the parents that call kids lazy are the ones that end up lazy, not because they were lazy to begin with, but it's been declared over them their whole life. So how can they get up and do anything? You've not told them they're even capable. So like, I definitely think that this is kind of like one of those things about going back into childhood and evaluating what it was. And like, the thing is, obviously a lot of the women that are doing really well at this now have like these crazy backstories. We always say to people, like, you can still like have this awakening to self without some mad backstory. Like it's for everyone. Like, and why would you not want to kind of like, work out where you're being limited so that you can be limitless? Like, who would not want that? And I think people are just too scared to ask for it, because there's been, I think it's historically, like, we've had a lot of wars, we've had a lot of crazy shit. Can I swear? No, no. Going on, and like, even now, like, it's triggering everything. Everyone's having to look back, everyone's having to do the digging, but it's just about not getting stuck there, so that you don't go down the endless tunnel of what's wrong with me. And that's what I think, having the, like Charley said, is like, having these things is really good, because you're like, I'm aware of it now, but don't identify with it. It's not you, it's something that you've developed. It's just like how you said, I'm going to name them. So I'm very visual, so I always imagine it like I'm like in a game or something, and I like turn around and I'm like, ha! I'm like, I know that's not me, because that's not coming from a place of love, so I know that's not me. And like, I look at it and it's like, like
Yeah.
So yeah, like, it's, do whatever you need to do. It's just like, be the observer, keep putting you back in the observer seat, and that's what meditation and stuff does. But like, definitely my personal thing with imposter syndrome is like feeling like a fake. Like, I have BPD and PTSD, and so I struggle with a lot of emotions internally that I've maybe not addressed, and I'm like like volcano lava explosion, but like obviously I'm aware of this, and it's like now working on it. But I definitely have the you're a fake thing, because not all the time, like I work hard to be nice to people. It's not something that comes naturally to me, because it's not something I was necessarily taught, or taught in a way that it's really clear to people that I like them. Or so like yeah, sorry, just 5 minutes. But yeah, I definitely have sorry, give me 1 second.
You're right.
I'm trying not to go on too many tangents. That's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, the whole I'm a fake, because in your head you're having these thoughts, and you've got to just separate yourself from the thoughts that come into your head and see them as little demons, or name them as little, I don't want to say demons, but like little, imagine like little, I want to draw like little cartoons. Like they're just that as it's whatever you give them. If you give them all the power, you'll trap yourself. And you just need to have, like Charley said, the best thing is just to have like decent people around you. And I know that maybe people that are watching might not have that situation right now, especially if you've gone through some shifts like a lot of us have during the lockdown. And like really it's like I want to say that like the focus needs to be digging, but not digging yourself a grave, you know. and and just getting peeling back the layers without it becoming your identity. And when you start to go down that, you start to ask these kind of like bigger questions, and you start to see how things are lined up, and you start walking towards purpose, because you're the one asking questions, you're the one saying don't like it. And to be honest, a lot of us don't like it, and I think feel too scared to kind of share it. But I think as well, some of our strength comes from just like bearing our weaknesses. And a lot with like these successful people, or people that you're perceiving as cool or successful or popular or whatever it is, you're like, oh, popular people feel really lonely as well. People you perceive as popular feel lonely. People you perceive as successful feel like it's undeserving. People that are rich feel poor, like they have everything and they're like, oh, it's not that. That's how I grew up. I was just like, I know it's not that. And so like we all have our different understandings, but the reality is you can have whatever you want. And like I could go on all night about that, but we're gonna tie it off.
Oh, thank you, Elle. Do you know what? You just helped give me a bit of an aha moment, because it's not about what you have externally in your life, it's about how you feel about yourself, and the imposter is there to test you. And sometimes we can use it as a guide to see that we actually care enough about the things that we want in our lives. And there was a study that was done, and in relationships it's actually not negative to actually feel like you're punching above your weight, because what that does is that encourages you to want to be a better partner. And it's good when you have another partner who feels like that about you. So then you're always constantly working on yourself to be better. But obviously you don't want to feel like you're not worthy of it. There's a completely difference between feeling unworthy and feeling like an imposter. Because an imposter, it isn't all the time. Like it's just when you achieve success and you actually gain what you want, you're kind of second guessing yourself, and you're feeling like, oh my God, is someone going to like randomly come around and be like, no, you didn't do that right. And I want to say to these people, where is your badge? I want to see receipts, imposter police. Because why can't we question them? And I think it's so good when you just said that, Elle, because we should question the imposter. When we get these fears and these doubts come up, I want to share a story that came up for me recently, and it blew my mind and it completely shifted my perspective. Now, I grew up in a very toxic environment. My mum had me very young, and there was a lot of neglect, abandonment, abuse. And I've healed from it now, but at that time, I remember I was in year 7, and we had an assignment in year 7 that we had to write a biography on our life. I went home and I told my mum, and she went absolutely apeshit. Now, bearing in mind at this time, if I would have wrote a biography on my life, I would have ended up in care. So I understand looking back now, but I carried that. I have carried that for nearly 28 years. I'm 27, I'm 28 next week. And the amount of people that have said to me, Charley, you need to write a book on your life. And I probably do it. It'd probably help with my PTSD and just sort of timeline it. But I'm actually thinking about it now. And I actually had a conversation with my mum the other week because I have been feeling extremely exhausted the past 2 weeks. I've been to the doctors. I found out I have anemia. So now I'm going to focus on my heart health, eat those leafy greens. I'm wearing green today as well to support it. But I had a conversation with my mum, and me and my mum actually only reconnected the past year. And it's been really nice, to be honest with you. We had a break for nearly over a year, and now I feel like I've grown so much as a person. I'm not triggered by her, and she's grown a lot as well. And she actually said to me, darling, you need to write a book. And I was shocked because I always had this limiting belief, and the imposter said to me that if you write a book, your mum's going to sue you. Everyone's going to think you're a fraud. It's not just your story for you to share, because I had this old limiting belief from year 7 when I was 12 years old that was the version of my mum I was holding on to. And then I actually had my mum say, you should write a book. And I went, what? Would you actually? I just stopped and I went, would you actually mind me doing that? She was like, yeah, I'd sign a waiver. I just changed the names. And I was like, so I think it's really important that we do really call out these imposters now, and we speak to people that are really on our side. Like, reach out to a good friend, reach out to a mentor, reach out to someone who has achieved what you want to achieve, or even connect with communities like this and reach out to us. Like, we don't have any biased opinion of you and your life. So if you come to us and share something, it's no benefit of us to either beat you down or build you up. We're just going to give you an honest opinion. And I feel like imposter syndrome, it really needs to be normalized now, like mental health, especially with depression, anxiety. These are all forms of imposter syndrome. Perfectionism is something that I experienced pretty much my entire life, working extremely hard and boiling down all of my achievements to either working hard or just luck. That was definitely something. I remember days when I used to have friends who would invite me out and I would be too fearful to go out to a club with them because I didn't feel pretty enough. Now that, looking back now, I have to hug my inner child, but come on, like, imagine if I even had friends like that. I don't want those friends. And if someone ever came up to you and spoke to you like that, then that just says a hell of a lot about them as a person. And I feel like we need to really address these fears because they are becoming bullies in our society, and we are allowing them to run riot on our minds, on our hearts, on our friends, on our family. So call out your imposter and do it in front of people that care about you, because I'm telling you, they will reassure you that that is a very irrational thought and it serves no purpose anymore in your mind. Charge it rent, get it out, evict it. But now I'm definitely going to pass it off to you, because I know that we've had many conversations about perfectionism as well.
We have. I feel like that's something that I still battle with. I hate you putting labels on myself, but I recently got diagnosed with ADHD as well. So I feel like that's something that perfectionism really plays a key part in for me. It's something where I get hyper focused on something, and that is where I'll spend all of my energy. I think what I didn't realise was so detrimental to my health was my inner critic, and how hard that we can be on ourselves, especially if we are going through a phase where we are suffering with imposter syndrome, or we feel like we don't measure up to maybe the standards that most of the time it's what we've set ourselves. It's not the standards that people place upon us. It's that we set standards that are too high for us to achieve. And again, that's another form of self-sabotage. And it's just a constant circle until you become aware. And I loved what you said, Elle, about staying in your seat of awareness. That's something that I've really, really been focusing on. And again, I always mention this book. It's like my Bible at the moment, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And he really, really talks about in that book just staying centered and allowing everything to come to the surface in order for it to be released. And I feel like that was something that I've also struggled with quite recently. I feel like I've been going through so many different shifts. I'm also feeling a hell of a lot of energy. There is a lot going on in the collective right now, and that is a completely different subject for another day. But I do feel like I also can relate to you, Elle, with my journey, my spiritual journey, and feeling fake. I feel like I've come so far on my journey that sometimes I'll look in the mirror and I'll think, I look back at my friendship circle and I see how different we are. I don't say we're not friends anymore, but we have created so much distance in between ourselves. And that was necessary. That was completely necessary. I'm so glad that I still have them in my life. But seeing the distance that was created, seeing how far that I have come to the point where maybe they haven't traveled as far or they haven't been willing to open their minds, and it's really difficult for me to sort of sit in my true power and sit in myself and think, what makes you think you can make this change? What makes you think that you can open yourself up to have everything you want? It's really given me a whole new level of feeling like a failure, as well as feeling very fake at the same time. And that's something I've been dealing with. I went out with some friends at the weekend and a lot of stuff came up for me over that. And it really started, again, I know it's all necessary because it helped me to ask those really important introspective questions for me to start working through the things that need to be healed. And I feel like we are the brave ones because there aren't many people that face healing head on. And when you're facing healing, you're also facing fears, because there's no way that you can heal without facing your deepest, darkest fears, without facing those traumas, that pain, that hurt. And we are the brave. We are the ones that are doing the work. We are the ones that are putting one foot in front of the other and taking those steps to ensure that not only are we being our true selves, but we're also staying true to those around us in order for them to see that they can continue to be their true selves and that they can also light up the world with their beautiful individual light. So it's really difficult because I feel like at this moment in time, I've got so much energy that's inside of me. One side of me is really proud of how far I've come and the journey that I've got in front of me. I know it's going to be light and I know it's going to be bright. Everything's going to be great, but I do feel like it needs to get a lot darker before it's going to get lighter. And I feel like that's scary because obviously no one wants to travel through the dark night, but we will get to the ultimate light at the end of the day. So just got to keep going, ladies. We've got to face our things head on. But I'm just grateful for this conversation. I'm grateful to have both of your beautiful, brilliant minds to shift some light and some different perspectives, because I do think that, like I said, we are our own biggest critics. And it is, I had a conversation with you today, Charley, where you literally was like, hold on a minute, you're being really hard on yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I am, aren't I? But it's just those simple conversations. It's about having that right environment. Because I had another conversation at the weekend that went completely different to that. And it made me question who I was, everything that I'd achieved, how far I'd come. And when you have someone that really cares about your interests and it comes from a place of love, then you genuinely feel unstoppable. Because after speaking to you today, Charley, I was like, I remember who I am. I remember who I am. So thank you. But yeah, like Charley said and Ellen said, it really is about having those people around you that you can count on, that will keep you accountable as well, in the same respect.
And yeah, and like you have to also, because what I definitely found recently is like, if you do want to do this walk, it's not for everyone to do as extremely as, like, you know what I mean? And if it's your calling, like, you've got to go all in, and sometimes it looks a little bit different, and so you're going to have situations that are going to again make you question, you know, as things come to closes, as like and natural ends, you're going to question like, oh, is this okay to step? And it's up to you if it's okay, really. And overcoming the kind of narrative and having people to start, you know, encouraging using this kind of language with your friends, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's helpful because it allows everyone to be vulnerable and, like, you know, speak about these things rather than everyone having this very like put on a front. I definitely am like like feel like I do that because I do TikTok, and I always have like, I don't think about like the number of follow, like, do you know what I mean? I try not to think about it, and like when I do, I get in like a rut because I'm just like, if I'm not perfect, or I give a poor impression of myself, or I've said something like, am I like, is that reacting, is that like, and I question everything that I'm doing, and I'm like, relax, like you just need to chill it down. And what I was doing is going, oh, like being annoyed at myself for being annoyed at myself. You know, it's just like this constant loop, and it's like going to yourself every day and be like, I got you, and like forgive yourself for whatever blunders you did yesterday, and don't get like stuck on them. And that's again just like coming back to present moment, because I get it, but I'm much better at stopping myself now. Just like you said, Charley, like moaning, like shut up. But like do it with love, like you can do it in a playful way, but it's still a part of you, and whilst it looks like a monster, it feels like a monster. It's a 2-year-old child version of yourself. It's just coming out an adult body, and if we recognize that in each other as well, we are better equipped to handle situations where people, you know, need to ask for help but don't know how, or you know, and we can start to really be there for each other in a time where there isn't maybe the medical funds for everyone to have a therapist who can't afford one. And what we can do now is we're blessed to be born in the internet age, and we can share that message with others. And like definitely for me, I thought I had to be a guru, otherwise someone would call me out and someone would be like, you're crap, like blah, blah. And I just was like, oh my gosh, and then I'm not going to be equipped, because I'm just going to go to my street self and be like, fuck. No. But yeah, like it is just kind of like putting the focus on yourself, and by putting the focus on yourself, because if you think, oh, I don't have all the resources, like if you put the work in yourself, the resources become available. It's like they get unlocked, like doing a little Crash Bandicoot game. And that's why you're like, what? It's like never stops. I'm like, yeah, it's getting harder, bro. We're doing bigger things. What did you think this was? Like, they care. But like it becomes enjoyable because you actually you see a side of life and reality that other people don't get to touch. Mm-hmm. And that's what's very beautiful, and finding other people to have that experience with. And it's okay to like admit that like you're not perfect, and it's okay if people realize you're not perfect. It's the thing that they relate to you with. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, I do that as well, and it makes them feel more comfortable to be themselves. And that's what everyone, to get everyone to let their guard down, you've got to let yours down. And like and you do that by knowing who you are. And that's where the imposter syndrome, knowing the separation between what is imposter syndrome, what's recycled old stuff, and what's truth, which is apparent when you know yourself. And to know yourself, you just have to focus on yourself. Give all the love that you're expecting or wanting from others, and give it to yourself. Find ways to give it to yourself. And then that's the best eradication, rather than being like, oh, now I've got this and I've got this. I definitely know a lot of people with mental health problems, and they're weighed down by the labels. Like, they're like, no, I'm like this. And even I have to be accountable for this, because sometimes you're like, yeah, because I'm struggling, but it doesn't mean it's not affecting people. It doesn't mean that you're not the one that has to pull you back. No one else is going to do it. And literally, it's so powerful and brave to even start the journey. So like, you don't need to hear this and be like, oh, no, just if you're even watching this, then you're in an incredible position. You're in a very powerful position, and you just need to realize that for things to start unlocking. And be patient, which is what I'm learning.
Oh, I love that. Honestly, Elle, for those of you on the Wake Up Wednesdays, me and Elle actually live together. She's recently moved into the shared accommodation that I live in. I'm so blessed and grateful that the universe has not only brought this beautiful woman into my life, but into my home. Like, it's amazing. And she sees me editing myself and coaching myself out loud all day long. Like, even when I moan, I'm like, stop moaning to myself. I'm constantly parenting myself, and I feel like that's what makes me a good coach. And to be honest with you, when I first started coaching, like, I've been coaching within a community of people for nearly coming up to about 3 years now, and I never believed that I could help somebody else. I didn't even know how to help myself. I was out at sea, lost sight of land. All I knew is that Bob Proctor was a part of it, so I was getting involved. And Mr. Bobby P, for those of you that don't know him, please just search Bob Proctor on YouTube and you are just going to be sucked into a vortex of videos for at least 2 weeks and thank me after. Come back to Wake Up Wednesdays and share your knowledge. But for me, the book that he has spent his life decoding, understanding is an incredible book by Napoleon Hill called Think and Grow Rich. Now, this book has nothing to do with money. It's all about the laws of the universe and how, I think it's 500 successful millionaires at that time, really what they did to gain their success. And they followed and studied their habits. And one of the quotes in that book, and now don't quote me for this, but it stuck with me forever. And it said, I would rather settle on the other side of complexity than settle for a life of lack now. Now, what I understood from that was life is a challenge. Like there ain't no way around it. It's a journey. And if it was gonna start the way it was meant to end, then how boring would that movie be? Like, you watch a movie for the ups and the downs, the highs and the low and the excitement. And you need to look at your life that way as well and know that whenever you're facing a challenge, this is another breakthrough. This is another moment for you to grow and expand into the person that you're meant to be. Now, me looking back at my life and a couple of the things that I've experienced, challenges like I've experienced infidelity, I've experienced losing jobs, I've experienced losing friends, I've experienced losing family, and understanding how that made me the person that I am today. That made me stronger. It made me more resilient. It made me figure out who I am and who I want to be and what my values are. And every single time I'm shaken, it helps me come back to my foundation and focus on me and do the real work and the introspection and focus on my values and my integrity. And I feel like for me with the imposter syndrome, if you can use that as a tool for you to realize like, okay, maybe there's a value that I'm sacrificing here. Maybe there's a lesson to be learned out of this doubt, out of this fear. Maybe I could study a little bit more in an area that I want to feel more confident. I'm a DJ. If I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable, maybe I can practice more. Maybe I can download some new songs. Maybe I can share a couple of mixes and ask for some feedback. Go out there, get out of your hell zone. That's your comfort zone, the hell zone. Get out of it. There's no growth there. And we are goal-driven beings, like species. As a species, we want to evolve, we want to transform, we want to reach the next phase in our lives. I know that I don't want to be living in this house forever and staying here right now. That scares me more than actually facing a fear and making a mistake and moving forward, because I know that I'd rather do that and grow than stay the same. But I know that there's so many people out there that they are living the exact same life that they have been living for like 10, 20, 30 years, because society has really distracted them to feel like that is normal. And that's why a lot of people, they do experience midlife crisis and they experience actual disease because they're not happy. And I feel like imposter syndrome, we need to really focus on our values and what's important to us and allow that to carry us through the challenges that we face when doubt, when fear arises. Now, I want to share a couple of tools and tips that help me get out of that. Obviously, I've shared one. First of all, reach out to your soul sisters, your soul brothers, people that can really guide you, support you, and actually shine some light on some tools that you can help yourself with in that now moment when that happens. And if you feel like you are unable to perform a way that you feel is expected, ask questions. Find out and clarify the standard that this person is expecting from you. You might be a perfectionist and you might be holding yourself to such a high standard or such a high expectation that the other person, this is what I say to people. I've had some of the women on my program last month and they are amazing singers. And one of them was actually asked to sing at a wedding. And she was kind of like, oh my God, like worrying about it. And I said, do you realize as much as you're grateful that this person has asked you to sing at their wedding, they're also grateful that you have said yes. So you need to see yourself that way when people are bringing opportunities to you. They're seeing something in you. So you must be doing something right. So keep going. Don't be afraid to say yes, even if you don't feel like you know everything right now, because you are a risk worth taking. And if somebody else believes in you, at least believe in yourself that they believe in you, because they're asking you to do this. Obviously, if you're completely incapable of running like a power plant and then someone's asking you to do that job, maybe say no, because we don't want any catastrophic disasters. But that's not happening. Like, you really need to just take the pressure off of yourself and focus on your small wins daily. Write down things when you achieve them. Keep a little journal. Look back at it when you're feeling like an imposter, and even look at your CV. Like, I know so many people that are entrepreneurs now and they're running their own businesses. Look back at your CV. Look at the jobs that you've done. Look at the skills that you have. When you've been doing the same thing over and over again, you might actually forget, like, oh, I've actually done quite a lot with my life and I am very capable. Like, for me, they would be some tools that I definitely say focus on, and focusing on your values and knowing your identity. So when you feel like it's shaken by something in the external world, then you can remember who you are and come back to center and just enjoy your life a little bit more. Like, when you're having fun, other people feel that too, and they want to be around you. And then you become a part of the experience so much more. And I feel like the best way that we can defeat the imposter syndrome is just to know that we are worthy and that we deserve to live a happy life and a joyful life. It doesn't all have to be so much doom and gloom, as much as the ego would like to dramatize us to feel like it needs to be 24/7. But even with me doing Wake Up Wednesdays, sometimes I feel that I might not have the right to speak on a topic, but who has the right? I have a perception. My perception on life is my gift to reality, and so is yours. So don't ever allow anyone to tell you different. And if they do, then come to me and I'll tell them to back off. Back up. Mind your business. Oh,
I'm just so grateful that this was even a topic of conversation, because I feel so much better for just hearing that it is so bloody normal, and that actually we have all experienced it in some way or another. And obviously we aren't the only people on this planet that have experienced it. So it's just so important that we have this sacred, safe space that we have worked so hard to build and create. And we are so grateful for everyone that comes on board, that takes part, that takes time out of their life. Because like Elle said, if you're here, then you found us for a reason, and you are actually doing it. You're doing it whether you feel like you have no idea where to start. The fact that you're even opening up your mind to listen to us share our perception and our views is a start. So just keep going. I feel like another thing that you said, Elle, was about when you don't know how to do things, but then things will start unlocking along your journey, something along those lines. And that was something that I realised. It was like, you don't have no idea how you're going to achieve the things you do. But like Charley said, just say yes. And as soon as you say yes and you set that intention and you start moving forward and you actually put action behind it, things start coming to you, doors start unlocking. And that was really, really a massive pivotal point in my life, because it was like, I don't actually need to know how. I just need to know that I can, and I just need to know that I will.
The working out bit is like the real like ego trap. You're like, aha, I must like, oh, and that means that, and that means, and actually you get yourself in a complete tears, because that's not what you're meant to be focusing on, because you're still trying to say, oh, well, this is because this happened in the past, or this going to happen in the future. And you don't need to do that. It's a total waste of your time and your thinking power. And you were saying earlier about like, you've got to have the bad days, like, and it's part of the building of your character. And I'm just like, that's literally like how, like, you have to just laugh at it. Like when everything's going wrong, you're like, wow, what great character development this is for the film that stars me. But yeah, it's so true. It's this, the spot we were looking earlier, and it's like the spotlight effect, this idea that like there's a spotlight on you and everyone is calling out your stuff. And just ask yourself, how much do you do that to other people? Not that much. So if people that are quite similar to you will not judge you, and the people that are judging you is because they're jealous of you, most likely, because it makes them experience their own lack. And just pray for them. Like, but like, really as well, attraction, this is for me, I have a little bit of like ugly duckling syndrome, because I didn't grow up believing I was at all attractive. No boys were interested in me, all this. And I don't, whilst I've obviously changed looks a bit, I've grown up, like I was me under there, and I've now come out to be my full self, and it only came by just doing stuff that I know that there's probably like a load of people followed me and like whispered and made kind of judgments about me. It's fine, it's no worries. Like RuPaul has a nice quote, it's like, I don't even think about the people that hate me, I'm so focused on the people loving me. Like, and you really just have to come from that place, so that when those words do come, if they do come, you just need to bury yourself off from it. I just laugh and just go, we'll see. Like my family kind of like, you can't just sit and do nothing. I'm like, but I'm not doing nothing. I'm just not going into corporate. Or do you know what I mean? I'm doing things differently. And then I started to feel that because I was different, because I couldn't sit still, because I had a lot of energy in me, that I was ill. And so then I perpetuate this idea that I'm ill. And so these labels are not to, because it's something I can do as well, it's not to like see yourself as ill or something to fix. There's nothing to fix. You just need to remember who you are and always have been, which is, English language doesn't even articulate it, but like the only way you get there is to open yourself up to it. And yeah, I just really encourage everyone that's looking at these calls and having like just the time with Natalie and Charley that they just take out and just like teach you all this stuff. These girls are so into this stuff, and that's the best way to get the information you need, is take it from people who actually like what they're doing, which we're not seeing that much of at the moment, but it's coming. And it starts with people who are just ready to kind of speak out and get involved. And even if you're just listening and you take one thing away from today, that's a beautiful thing, and a treasure you can then pass on to help others. So thank you for having me.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you for being here. Like, honestly, it means the world to me. And following from what you said, Nat, when you were saying about the how, like, forget the how. If you knew how, you would already be doing it. And Prince is creating a chaos in the back. My baby Bonnie is not actually a baby anymore. He's a little bit of a teenager, and he's chewing on something.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to deal with
I
that.
want to go.
Yeah, I mean, forget the how. If you knew how, you'd be doing it already. And I feel like these doubts are there to keep you stuck, because the ego doesn't like to grow, because that means that you're going to change. And that's not comfortable for the mind. The mind is programmed to evolve very slowly over time. But unfortunately for the mind, we live in a very fast-paced society. We have the internet, and Aquarius, the age of Aquarius is here, which is about all transcending technology and really connecting on a quantum scale, and things are moving very fast. Where we was 100 years ago to where we are now, we are quadrupling that. In 10 years time, things are going to keep evolving. And I feel like if you can focus on what's in alignment with you and what makes you feel good and what makes you want to get out of bed in the morning and give you purpose and help you get up when you fall over and people knock you down, then that's something worth fighting for, because that is the life that everyone deserves to live. And for me, my purpose, I truly believe, is helping people reach their fullest potential. I feel like a life wasted is a life not fully lived. And as Les Brown always says, you do not have to become somebody else's version of you. You can be who you want to be. And with the imposter, it is there for a purpose to keep you safe, but it is ultimately keeping you stuck. If you are interested in things like this as well, I do have my own program. I am launching Thursday, the 5th of August. I'm so excited. The Abundance program, which I created, was created to really have a safe space for men and women to really be able to step into their potential and learn this information that I have learned that has helped me become the person that I am today. And I truly feel like it's my responsibility to share this. This is why we do Wake Up Wednesday, because these conversations keep us accountable. This community helps us be fearless and be ourselves and take back our power when we feel like the world is getting on top of us. Like there's days when we don't want to get out of bed, but we have a purpose, and that gets us up every single time. We know our why, and it's not just for us, it's for everyone. I know that if I'm down, I'm not just down. I've got people that love me and that people that want me to do well, and then they feel it. Like energetically, I mean, Nat, the times that I felt away and then she's rung me and she's like, feeling like this, and I know we're really connected. Are you feeling like it too? I'm like, yeah, like, and then we're looking at the moon and we're like, yeah, we need to do a new moon ritual. Let's do okay, full moon's coming up. We've got a new moon in Leo on the 8th of August. It's all about introspection of the heart. So yeah, if you want to get involved in that stuff, definitely go to my girl, Natalie. Nat,
I got you.
Share your little, well, not your little, your quite expanded business now that is growing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. This was something that was created to really just give myself an outlet. It was something that Charley actually introduced to me with the full moon ceremonies. I just fell in love with it. I found it a beautiful accountability practice. It really brought some magic and a lot of abundance into my life at a time when I didn't have it. And so I started to also put my creative spin on things and create some boxes to give to a few friends. And then people started asking where they could get them from, and Luna by Nat was born. And I'm just so grateful that I get to create pieces with such good energy. That is my way of giving to the world, even though I might be stuck in my house with my granddad, my limiting beliefs, I haven't got a purpose, there's nothing that I'm doing. I love the fact that people come to me and I can gift them good energy, which is something that I really love. So yeah, anyone that wants tarot card readings, crystal candles, moon magic boxes, any sort of bespoke magic, come my way. And yeah, I would love to help you.
Honestly, I mean, full moon ritual boxes are sensational. I've got one, and I'm just blessed that I got to share this information with you, and then you created something so beautiful out of it, and now you shared it back with me, and then you share it with everyone. Like for me, abundance is sharing our gifts, is sharing our skills, is sharing ourselves with the world, our real authentic selves. And Elle, I want to pass it on to you, girl, because I know you've got a few services at the moment that you could share with the community.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think like always bring yourself, like for me, when I get, because I can get really like hurt by the feelings of a situation, rather than the truth of how it really is, like miscommunications or people not having the equipment to handle how you'd like them to handle it. And so like really it's just about making sure that you are okay even with the criticism, and it won't come all at once. It will come gradually as you do, like, do you know what I mean, when you start putting your stuff out, like there is a little bit of pushback sometimes, and that's fine. You don't need to be everyone's cup of tea. And like I definitely, like for me, I get this idea that like I have to be so nice like for people to like me, but then I find people funny that are a bit sassy, so like I'm like it's stopping to repress the parts of me that I perceive as bad, because our perception of what's good and what's bad is our perception, and your mate could think that that was like the worst way, that they would not want to be that way, you know. So it's completely subjective, so it's only you worrying, literally. And the same thing is like, oh, but what if I look weird? I promise you, as someone that is now built 100k, I promise you no one's looking at you really until you're doing good. And chances are they're looking at you do something thinking, I wish I could do something. And like just like change the narrative. Or like I always think it like I get paranoid that people are against me, or think, you know, are seeing my worst parts. But then again, even that is just, it shouldn't be my opinion of myself. But then it's like, it doesn't matter how much you are liked, how successful you are, you're gonna doubt it in yourself until you call yourself out. And so like even on this journey, like you don't have to be, and like if you're perceiving us as, this is my first time, guys, like I've got no guru. I'm just about a guide to myself right now. So like, but I'll give what I can. And like, because if it's helped me, it'll help someone else. And we're here to be real, and we're here to basically just say, yes, it's a struggle at times, but sometimes it's bloody beautiful. And that's where we're trying to get to. And we're trying to get to that more and more and more. So, and I love the quote. It was in a YouTube video we were watching earlier. What's obvious to us can be amazing to others. You're so used to yourself, that you forgot how unreal you were. Have you ever had something and you were like, I want that thing, and then you have it and you just like lose appreciation of it over time? Like you have to like just own that you have put some effort into something in your life. Even, I don't care if it's gaming, I don't care if it's sewing, doesn't matter. You have developed some skill. I don't care if it's just cognitive skill or like counting. You've done something. And now it's just about basically saying, well, what would you like to do? What do you experience most joy from? Not experiencing joy from something? Okay, let's try something new. And really your purpose is where your fear is. And I don't really believe in this one overarching purpose. I think the purpose is like to be this person to this person, and it's very multifaceted. And like the idea that there's this one big purpose that we're yet to realize sometimes is an ego trap in itself. Your purpose like now is caring for your granddad right now. That's a sick purpose, bruv. And it's just, and so it's for now, it's for you're doing, that's the big jobs. Mm-hmm. That's the big jobs. So you're saying, oh yeah, but I'm not the president. Looks the same to me. It's a big job. You're probably more empathetic. So do you know what I mean? It's just what you're considering as like a small thing, another person can consider a big thing, because they struggle even with, other basics or empathy or whatever it is. And so what you're doing is like, whoa, you're an angel, So it's again, like, that's just me calling your imposter out, Ash. because it's always it comes for everyone, and it stops you in your tracks, because you're like, and then the pressure mounts up as well in like how you display yourself to the world. But if you know your heart, and I need to always be reminded of my heart because of my previous beliefs, and people are like, someone, and I'm like, I must be evil, and they're like, someone that's evil doesn't do those things. Like, they don't do those things straight up, and they wouldn't be questioning either. Like, so you need to get yourself and become your own favorite person, and to do that, you have to really overcome the stuff in you that's not actually you. And it can be hard to let go, and there can be attachments to it, and it's totally your choice where you go with it. So I'm trying not to ramble on, but I just hope to inspire like anyone who just feels really sluggish right now. And I think that a lot of people are in that situation. It is emotionally heavy right now. You're okay to be feeling that. It'd be a bit mad if you weren't feeling it. But it doesn't mean that you can't still do bits, and you can't still help one person, or just shout out to one person, check one person that's like not messaged for a while, see what they're doing, see what they're up to. And that opens the portal to an endless stream of love. So it's worth doing.
Wow. And Elle, I'm going to call out your imposter. I'm not only a apprentice tattooist at the moment, but please go and check this girl out. Please check out her tattoo Instagram. Is it L_tattoos?
It's ELH_tattoos.
ELH_tattoos.
Yeah.
Her artwork is honestly some of the best I've ever seen in my life, and I am a massive tattoo fan. She's going to be doing me one for my birthday. I'm so excited. I'll be sharing it with you all either next week or the week after. So stay tuned and come back for Wake Up Wednesdays. And also, I just want to say a massive thank you. Thank you, Natalie, for being here and being a co-host with me since the start. 26 weeks we've been doing
6 months. 6 months.
So wow. And you know what? I've enjoyed every single part of it. Elle, I want to say thank you. You are welcome back.
I'd love to come back.
I love you, and it's just good to have another perspective. Olivia, Queen, thank you for being here. If you're still here,
can you hear me?
Yeah, we
can hear you.
Can I just say that was really, really lovely to watch? Like, I've never done anything like this before. Joined a Zoom meeting before, but it was really refreshing hearing everything and knowing that you're literally not on, like, you're not on your own with all these feelings. It's so weird, like hearing it from other people, because I just don't hear it. But yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you for joining us, Olivia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, honestly, you were meant to be here with us, and please share this with anyone. I will be uploading this to YouTube as soon as possible. Check out the link in my bio or message us directly, whoever introduced you to this call. Share Wake Up Wednesdays with your friends, your family. Let us know a topic that you'd like us to discuss our perspectives on, or even if you want to join in a little conversation and be a special guest, please reach out to us, because this is what the platform is for. We love you. We're so grateful.
Oh, definitely. I'll have to have a little think about something and I'll let you all know.
Yay! Oh, amazing. Well, as I always say, remember, keep going, keep growing, and keep glowing.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.